Some people say God does not speak to us anymore, that he's done talking to man. Well, I beg to differ. I still believe that God speaks to us today in various means, various methods, various ways. God still speaks to us. You need to open your ears, you need to open your mind so that you will know when God is speaking to you. God speaks to us through our dreams. He speaks to us through nature. He can use anybody to talk to us. When I was in my former church, I had various dreams about that place. I chose to ignore it. When God sees that your heart is pure, innocent, and he knows that you truly want to worship him, but where you are is wrong for you, he will speak to you. He will send messages to you. But you will choose to ignore it the way I did. When I wake up from such dreams, I will bind the devil. Tell the devil, you are a liar. I'm not living here. I know that you don't want me to worship God. You are a liar. I even dreamt of a senior pastor in that church. I woke up, I said, the devil, you are a liar. Later, things came out about that pastor. Things I had dreamt about. I was shocked. And I thought, wow. And I cannot even say, God, you did not show me. Because he did. There are some churches that you will be in. You might think it's a church. It might not be right. The foundation might not be right. You know, it might be built on some occultic thing, but you may not know. So God is trying to warn you about that place. But you are too caught up in yourself to listen. God still speaks to us. Because Psalm 51 says that, so that when he judges, he will be clear. When he speaks, he'll be justified. So nobody can stand on that day and say, God, you did not warn me. If you're a career criminal, God will warn you to desist from that and repent. You chose not to listen. He can send a child to you. The child might just say, oh, uncle, do you know that one day, every day is for the thief, one day is for the criminal. The child doesn't even know what they're talking about, but you know. You chose not to listen. And then you could see a billboard which says criminals will be caught. You know that's talking to you. You chose to ignore it. You might watch a TV program and they're showing how this career criminal was caught by the police. He thought he was untouchable. You sat there, you watched it. That's God speaking to you. You chose to ignore it. And then you went on one of your raids. You got caught. You can't say, God, you didn't warn me. He will be clear when he speaks. And he will be justified in his judgment on that day. So you have no excuse whatsoever. You know, when eventually, because I was being treated really badly in a former church, and I was like, okay, now I need to know if I should leave. I want it to be plain that God was calling me to leave, and it's not just me because of what I was facing, and it's not the devil pushing me out. So I said, God, okay, if you want me to leave here, I want this to happen. I put down my Gideon fleece, and it happened exactly that way. So I left. So when people were coming to me, oh, Tina, please come back. Tina, come back. I refused completely because I know what I prayed. I know how God showed it to me plainly. And I will go and put my head back into that trap. Absolutely not. If I go back, a worse thing will happen. And then God will say, yep, you asked me to show you a sign. I showed you a sign. You ignored it. You went back. So serves you right. I took the warning. I heeded and I left. God still speaks. When I was praying for a husband, God showed me my husband before we even met, but I saw his back. Very dark skin. I told the pastor I had at the time, I dreamt of my husband, and he asked me, what does he look like? I said, he's really dark. And by that time, I didn't know any man that dark. Every person I knew was like my skin tone. He said, did you see his face? I said, no. So when I met my husband, I knew that was him. God had shown him to me before we met. I didn't see his face, I saw his back. And that was his skin tone. Make of it what you will, I don't care. So God still speaks to us today. Do not ignore it. You know, sometimes you might be praying, your heart is heavy, you want God to speak to you. He could lead you to a verse in the Bible. You open it up, bang, that's the answer to your prayer. You're like, wow, that's still God speaking to you. He speaks to us through his word. He speaks to us through dreams. Don't ignore your dreams. He speaks to us through pastors, through prophets, through each other, through nature. God can use any means to speak to us. He says, behold, I am the Lord. Is there anything too hard for me? There's nothing too hard for God, and he's not stopped speaking to us. He has not withdrawn from us. He has not abandoned man. People speak ill down today. They pray to God. He answers them. Some even hear his audible voice. So if God is not speaking to you, that doesn't mean he's not speaking to man. He's probably speaking to you, but you're not hearing it because you've closed your mind. You've closed your ears. You don't want to hear. That's why you say God doesn't speak anymore. He does. He does speak. Don't let anybody deceive you. that he doesn't speak to man again. I was lying in bed. This message dropped in my heart. I don't know why, because I'm sure I've done this before on my channel, if you check. So I thought, okay, let me do it again. Maybe there's some people that haven't watched that one and they need this today. So don't put God in a box. He still speaks. God bless you.